Okay, here we are continuing to talk about limiting reactants, but this time instead of looking at it with a recipe for pancakes, we're just looking at it sort of with pictures, and we're not moving into chemicals quite yet. These are like toy cars, right? So we can see in this picture that we have 8 car bodies and 48 tires. And with those ingredients, right? How many cars can you make? Well, what you need to know is that every car is going to need 4 tires. And the first question is, which reactant is the limiting reactant? And there's many different ways to figure this out, and we're going to learn a few of them. But what most people figure out in their head was, well, if I have 8 car bodies, then I'm going to need 32 tires, and I have 48 of them. So therefore, the car bodies are going to run out first. So we call that the limiting reactant because, right, the reactant, it has to be one of the ingredients, one of the things that we use to make the car. The question, next one, is what is the theoretical yield? So this is how many complete cars can you make? And that's 8 complete cars. What is the excess reactant? So the other reactant was tires, right? So that's the one that is the excess reactant. And how many are left over? Well, I figured out that I would use 32, and I started with 48. So if I take 48 and subtract out 32, I get 16, right? 16 leftover tires. Let's do this with another example here of making a sandwich. So we can see that the recipe for making a sandwich is up top there. 2 slices of bread, 3 pieces of lunch meat, and 1 slice of cheese. And then you see this is how much, this is like our cupboard here, our pantry. How much of each ingredient do we have? Okay, so which reactant ran out first? You can look at the products here to see, or you can sort of figure it out in your head, right? We know that there's excess lunch meat and cheese, which means bread must have been the ingredient that ran out first. What is the theoretical yield? Well, that's the 3 sandwiches that we did make. And the excess reactants here, right, are our 3 pieces of lunch meat and our 2 pieces of cheese, right? Excess reactants, so they were reactants, but they're left over. Okay, our final example here with pictures is with hot dogs. So this is showing us which reactant was the limiting reactant, so which one ran out first. And it looks like that's going to be the hot dog buns, right? Look at what is left over, okay? What is the theoretical yield? So, how many cars? Not cars, but how many hot dogs can you make there, right? What is the theoretical yield? So it looks like 4 complete hot dog sandwiches. And then what is the excess reactant and how many is left over? You have just 1 plain hot dog is left over. Okay? We are going to start sort of figuring out how to do this without looking at pictures here. And the first thing that you see is we're starting to look at chemical equations, right? So here's the chemical equation. It's a synthesis reaction for the synthesis of NH3, which is a molecule called ammonia. And, right, we've looked at this in a couple different ways, that it can be representing molecules. Those coefficients can represent molecules, or those coefficients can represent moles. And so if we look at the picture here, right, the chemical equation shows us like the recipe, and this is how much we actually have there, these experimental conditions. And you can see 2 molecules of nitrogen and 3 molecules of hydrogen. And of course, at the beginning, we have no molecules of product, right? Because we're talking about at the beginning of this reaction. And then after the reaction takes place, look at what happens. I used up all 3 of my molecules of hydrogen. I used up one of the molecule of nitrogen, so I have 1 mole of nitrogen left over, and I have 2 molecules of ammonia as my product. So what was my theoretical yield, right? The theoretical yield is how much product I should be able to make, so that would be 2 molecules of NH3. The limiting reactant was the 3 molecules of hydrogen, and the excess reactant, or the leftover reactant, right? That's my nitrogen. That's my extra molecule of nitrogen there. And we're going to continue these in the next video by looking at just different chemical equations.